Hello everyone, welcome to the new video lecture of subject Electrical Circuit Analysis. Myself Himanshu Joshi, I am an assistant professor in Sri Labhubhai Trivedi Institute of Engineering and Technology, Rajkot. So today we will learn a new theorem and name of that theorem is reciprocity theorem. So let starts with the statement for reciprocity theorem. So this theorem states that for a linear bilateral single source network, the ratio of excitation, that means input, to the response, that means output, is constant when the position of excitation, that means input, and response, that means output, are interchanged. So generally this statement states that the ratio of input and output, the ratio of input and output is always constant if we change the position of input and output also. Clear? That means for a particular network the ratio of input to the output remains constant. If you change the position of input and output, then also that ratio will remain constant. This is the statement for reciprocity theorem. Now there is another statement of this particular theorem. It states that for any linear network or linear bilateral impedance and active source, that means linear network with bilateral impedance and active source. Clear? For linear network in which there is a bilateral impedance and active source, the ratio of voltage which is introduced in a loop to the current in other loop is same as the ratio obtained if the position of voltage and current are interchanged. So it also states that the ratio of voltage to the current are same if you interchange that voltage and current. So this is known as reciprocity theorem. In short, it says that for a particular network the ratio of input and output or the ratio of voltage and current will remain same if you interchange the position of input and output or voltage and current. So for this particular network it is important to note that this theorem is applicable only when circuit has one source, or if there are multiple sources, then the sources other than one considered must be replaced by their internal impedance while calculating the ratio. So this theorem is applicable when, for that particular theorem, you have to consider only one source and other source must be replaced by their internal impedance while calculating the ratio. The other thing is that this theorem is not applicable for the circuit having dependent source. This theorem is applicable for independent source only. If in a network there is a dependent source, then this theorem cannot be applied. So let's discuss the application for this particular theorem. So this theorem applicable for linear time invariant network of passive element network. This theorem is applicable for linear time invariant network and passive element network. Second application is that it allows us to interchange the position of input, that means excitation, and output, that means ratio. So this theorem allows us that we can interchange the position of input and output. The third application is that it provides a bilateral property of network. That means we can check that this network can be used for the change of direction. That means we can give input from any direction, it behaves same. So it provides us the bilateral property of network. That means we can change the direction of input and we can change the direction of output. So if we want to check the direction of input and output, or if we want to check the performance of the network after the changing the direction of input, then we can use the reciprocity theorem. Now the drawbacks for this particular theorem. So it is not applicable to the network which have or which contain the dependent source, even if it is a linear. So this is not applicable when there is a dependent source in network. It is only used for independent source. The second drawback is that it is not applicable for the network containing the non-linear element. So the reciprocity theorem is not useful for the network which have non-linear element like diode, transistor, other power electronic switches. Third disadvantage or drawback is that it is not applicable for the network containing the time varying element. It is not useful for the network which has time varying elements. It is only useful for time invariant elements. So now let starts with the proof of reciprocity theorem. So for reciprocity theorem, what we will do, suppose we have a network which has input E volt, output is I ampere. So we will try to find out the ratio of E by I. We are trying to find out the ratio of E by I, and after that we will interchange the position of input and output like this. So we will interchange the EMF E and output current I, and again in this case we are trying to find out the ratio of E by I. We are trying to find out the ratio of E by I, and it is having a same value as in the case of this network. So if these two ratios are same, then we can say that reciprocity theorem is valid for this particular network. Reciprocity theorem is valid for this particular network, and for that E by I should be constant and should be same in both case, and it should be same in both case. So E by I is constant and it has a special name. It is called transfer impedance. It is called transfer impedance. So let try to derive the proof for the reciprocity theorem. So for that we will use this network or this diagram, and for this network we are trying to give the proof regarding the reciprocity theorem. So what we will do, we will try to find out we will try to take the ratio of input and output. So input is E1 volt over here, and we will consider the current I2 as our output current. So for this particular network we will try to derive the ratio of E1 by I2, and after that we will interchange the position of E1 and I2, and in that case also we are trying to find out the ratio of E1 by I2, and both the ratio should be equal. So based on that we can say that reciprocity theorem is provided proof. So let's try to find out the E1 by I2 in this particular network. So to find out the value of I2, we have to apply the KVL in both the loop. So let apply the KVL in loop 1. So the KVL equation for loop 1 will look like this: E1 drop in Z1 is minus I1 Z1, and drop in Z3 is I1 minus I2 into Z3. So the next step, it will look like this: E1 minus I1 into Z1, again multiply Z3 with I1 and Z3 with I2. So it will look like minus I1 Z3 plus I2 Z3 equal to 0. Again take I1 as common, from these two term. So next step will be look like this: E1 minus I1 as common. So in bracket we have Z1 plus Z3. This minus become plus because we have taken as minus I1 as common, plus I2 Z3 is equal to 0. So the final equation will look like this: I1 into Z1 plus Z3 minus I2 into Z3 equal to E1. This is our equation number 1. So this is the KVL for loop 1. Now on the same way we have to apply the KVL for loop number 2. So we will apply KVL for this particular loop. So drop in Z2 is minus I2 Z2, drop in Z3 is minus of I2 minus I1 into Z3, all equal to 0. Now this 2 minus term, if we will shift both the term from the right hand side of equal to, then it will become plus. So the next step is plus I2 Z2 plus I2 minus I1 into Z3, all equal to 0. Again multiply Z3 with I2 and Z3 with I1. So the next step will look like this: I2 Z2 plus I2 into Z3 minus I1 into Z3, all equal to 0. Take I2 common from these two term. So plus I2 in a bracket Z2 plus Z3, this is minus I1 into Z3, all equal to 0. So finally equation number 2 for loop number 2 will look like this: I1 into Z3 minus I2 into Z2 plus Z3 equal to 0. So this is the equation number 2. So these are the two equations for our network, and based on these two equations we are going to apply the Cramer's rule, and we will try to find out the value of loop current 2 or output I2. So I2 is equal to delta 2 by delta. So based on Cramer rule we are trying to find out the value of I2. So first we will try to find out delta, and then we will find out the delta 2, and after that we will take a ratio of delta 2 by delta. So delta will look like this. So coefficient of all the constant. So Z1 plus Z3, this is minus Z3, this is plus Z3, and this is minus Z2 plus Z3. So delta, so we have to find out the value of delta. So we will multiply these two and multiply with these two with minus sign. So it will becomes minus Z1 plus Z3 into Z2 plus Z3, and these two multiplication will become minus Z3 square, but as per the formula we have another minus sign, so this minus minus becomes plus. So delta becomes minus of Z1 plus Z3 into Z2 plus Z3 plus Z3 square. So this is the value of delta. Now we will simplify by the multiplication of this Z1 with these two and Z3 with Z2 and Z3. So it will become Z1 into Z2 and Z1 into Z3. This Z3 multiply with Z2, it will become Z3 Z2, and this Z3 multiply with Z3 become Z3 square. Now again we will multiply this entire bracket with minus sign, so all become minus. So you can see over here that this Z3 square gets cancelled. So final delta will become minus Z1 Z2 minus Z2 Z3 minus Z3 Z1. So this is the value of delta. Now based on these two equations we are trying to find out the value of delta 2. So this coefficient will comes on the second column of this matrix. So again multiply these two with these two. So this 0 into Z1 plus Z3 becomes 0 minus Z3 into E1. So delta 2 is equal to minus of E1 into Z3. So now we are able to find out the value of I2. So I2 is equal to delta 2 by delta. So delta 2 is equal to minus of E1 into Z3. So delta 2 is equal to minus of E1 by Z3, and delta is equal to this minus Z1 Z2 minus Z2 Z3 minus Z3 Z1. So this is the value of delta. Now we will take minus sign will be common from numerator and denominator. So I2 becomes, all the term becomes positive. And now finally after the finding out the value of I2 we are able to find out the ratio of E1 by I2. So this is the E1 and this is the entire value of I2. So over here you can see that this E1 will be cancelled out with E1, and this term is the denominator of denominator. This is the denominator of denominator, so it can be transferred to the numerator. So this is the final answer of E1 by I2, that is equal to Z1 Z2 plus Z2 Z3 plus Z3 Z1 divided by this Z3. So this is the first result that we will get for our network. Okay, now it's time to interchange the input and output. So over here you can see that this is the E1 and this is the I2. So now we have to interchange the input and output. So E1 which is in first loop, now it will shifted in second loop, and I2 which is the current in this particular loop, now it will shift to this loop. So input will go to this side and output will come into this side. So this is our E1 which is input and this is the output. So the same procedure we are going to find out the ratio of E1 by I2 in this case, and this should be equal to this result. So again KVL in loop 1. So drop in Z1, now it is I2 Z1, and drop in Z3 is now I2 minus I1 into Z3. So next step, minus I2 Z1, again multiply Z3 with I2 and I1, Z3 with I2 and I1. So it will become minus I2 Z3 minus plus I1 Z3. So this is the same I1 Z3. Now take I2 common from these two term. So I2 as it is, in bracket there will be a Z1 plus Z3 all equal to 0. In this bracket it will become plus because we have taken as minus I2 as common. So in bracket there is a Z1 plus Z3 all equal to 0. So this is the equation number 1 for loop 1. Now apply the KVL equation for loop 2. So this is the loop 2. So equation will become E1, drop in Z2 is minus I1 Z2, drop in Z3 becomes I1 minus I2 into Z3 all equal to 0. So next step will look like this, E1 minus I1 Z2, again Z3 will be multiplied with I1 and I2. So this is I1 Z2 as it is. Multiplication of I1 and Z3 becomes minus I1 Z3. This minus minus become plus, and I2 into Z3 is equal to I2 Z3, all equal to 0. Next step, this is E1. Now we will take I1 as common from this two term. So minus I1 as common. So in bracket there is a Z2 plus Z3, and this plus I2 Z3 will remain as it is. So final equation, from this we can write I1 into Z2 plus Z3 minus I2 into Z3 is equal to E1. So this is our second equation for loop number 2. So again from these two equation we are trying to find out the ratio of delta 2 by delta to determine the output current I2. So first we will try to find out the delta. So we will write all the coefficient of our two equation. So Z3, next is minus of Z1 plus Z3, Z2 plus Z3, and this is the minus Z3. So multiply this two term and this two term. So Z3 into minus Z3 become minus Z3 square. Multiplication of these two with separation of minus, so it will become minus minus plus Z1 plus Z3 into Z2 plus Z3. So this is the value of delta. Now we will separate the bracket. So we will multiply Z1 with Z2 and Z3, and next we will multiply Z3 with Z2 and again Z3. So it will become Z1 into Z2 becomes Z1 Z2, Z1 into Z3 becomes Z1 Z3, Z3 and Z2 become Z3 Z2, and Z3 into Z3 become Z3 square. So over here you can see that Z3 square gets cancelled out. So final value of delta is look like this: Z1 Z2 plus Z2 Z3 plus Z3 Z1. So this is the value of delta. Now from these two equation we have to find out the value of delta 2. So again you have to replace these two coefficient in this particular matrix. So again multiply E1 with Z3 and Z2 plus Z3 with 0. So delta 2 becomes E1 into Z3. So this is the value of delta 2. So now we are able to find out the ratio of delta 2 by delta. So delta 2 for this case is E1 into Z3. So this is the value of delta 2, which is equal to E1 into Z3, and delta is equal to Z1 Z2 plus Z2 Z3 plus Z3 Z1. So this is the value of delta, Z1 Z2 plus Z2 Z3 plus Z3 Z1. So for this second case, now we are able to find out the ratio of E1 by I2. So numerator E1 will be as it is, and this is the value of I2, which I have written over here. So over here you can also observe that this E1 will be get cancelled out with E1, and this is the denominator of denominator. So I can write this denominator in this numerator. I can transfer this denominator into the numerator. So the ratio of E1 by I2 will look like this: Z1 Z2 plus Z2 Z3 plus Z3 Z1 all divided by Z3. So this is our equation number B. So now you note this equation, please make a note that this equation should be equal to our previous equation. So please remember this equation. I will show you the equation number A. This is the equation A, and it is same as our equation number B. So comparing equation A and B, we can conclude that both equations are same. So reciprocity theorem is verified. Reciprocity theorem is verified. So this is the proof of reciprocity theorem. Now we will solve a numerical based on the reciprocity theorem, so you can clear your idea in a better way. So let's solve the numerical based on reciprocity theorem. So first example, the data is verify the reciprocity theorem for the network shown in figure. So for this particular diagram, this 20 ampere is our input and this V0 is our output. So we have to find out the value of V0 for this particular configuration, and we have to interchange the V0 and 20 ampere, and again in that case we have to find out the V0, and if both time V0 is having a same value, then we can say that reciprocity theorem is verified. Clear? So this is the given network, and for this particular network we are trying to find out the V0. So to find out the output voltage V0, we have to find out the current I2, because you can see over here that this I2 is flow from this particular resistance. If we want to find out the V0, then we have to multiply this 2 ohm with current in this particular resistance. So over here you can see that I2 is flow from this resistance. So V0 is equal to 2 into I2. So for that we have to find out the current I2. Now to find out the current I2, which is flow from this particular 20 ampere source, so we are trying to apply the current divider rule to find out the value of current I2, because this total current is divided into two parts. First part through 4 ohm, second part is through this particular branch. So we are going to apply the current divider rule. So I2 is equal to total current, which is equal to 20 ampere, multiply by the branch which is parallel to this branch, so that is equal to 4 ohm. So this is the 4 ohm, divided by the resistance, addition of the resistance which are parallel to each other. So divided by 4 plus 2 plus 2. So 20 multiplied by 4 is equal to 80, divided by 4 plus 2 plus 2, that is equal to 8. So total I2 is equal to 10 ampere. Now we are able to find out the V0. So V0 is equal to 2 into I2. So 2 into 10 is equal to 20 volt. So this is our first result for verification of reciprocity theorem. Now what we will do? We will interchange this current source with this V0. So over here we will apply the 20 ampere, and over here we are trying to find out the V0. So network will look like this. This is the 20 ampere source and this is the output voltage. So interchange the source and verify the reciprocity theorem. So network with interchange will look like this. So again we have to find out the V0. But over here you can see that this is the open circuited branch. So no current will flow in this particular branch. So we can say that the voltage across this 4 ohm resistance is our V0. Voltage across this 4 ohm resistance is V0. So from this 20 ampere we can find out the current flow from this 4 ohm resistance, which I have mentioned as I2 dash, by using the current divider rule. So again I2 dash is equal to total current, which is equal to 20 ampere, multiply by the current multiply by the resistance which is opposite to that particular resistance. So I can say that the parallel resistance of this 4 ohm resistance is 2 ohm, because this branch is open. So these two resistance are in series. So the parallel resistance of this 4 ohm resistance is 2 ohm. So 2 divided by the number of branch which are parallel to each other. So this 4 plus 2 makes 1 branch, plus this 2 ohm branch. So divided by 2 plus 4 plus 2. So 20 multiplied by 2 is equal to 40, divided by 8. So that is equal to 5 ampere. So current flow from this 4 ohm resistance is 5 ampere. So V0 is 4 into I2 dash. So 4 into 5, which is equal to 20. So this is our second result. So in first result we will get 20 volt. In second result we also get the 20 volt. So V0 is same in both the cases. So we can say that reciprocity theorem is verified. Clear? So in first configuration, for input and output we will get the result 20 volt. In second configuration, after the interchange of input and output, we will get the same result. So we can say that reciprocity theorem is verified. Let's consider the second example, so you will get more clear about the particular theorem. So in that case, we also have to verify the reciprocity theorem. So this is our input 20 volt and this is our output IK. So let find out the output for this configuration, and after that we will interchange the input and output, and again we will get some result, and if that result is same, then we can say that reciprocity theorem is verified. So this is the first configuration, and in that case we have to find out the current IK. So to find out the current IK, we have to find source current. Clear? To find out this current, first we have to find out the total current IK. Sorry, total source current IS, and based on this current I can find out the current IK. So we can say that source current is equal to voltage divided by total resistance R equivalent. So voltage is 20 volt divided by R equivalent. So we have to find out the equivalent resistance for this particular network. So I can say that equivalent resistance, this 4 and 6, 4 ohm and 6 ohm are in series. So 4 plus 6, and their equivalent comes in parallel with this 10 ohm. So 4 plus 6 in parallel with 10 ohm, and their equivalent of 4 plus 6 with parallel to 10 ohm, their equivalent comes in series with this 5 ohm. So R equivalent become 5 plus 10 parallel to 6 plus 4. So the series connection of this 6 and 4 become 10. So 10 becomes parallel to the 10 ohm, and its equivalent is in series with 5 ohm. So 10 parallel 10 become 5. So 5 plus 5 become 10. So R equivalent for this particular network is 10 ohm. So I can find out the source current. Source current is equal to V by R equivalent. So 20 by 10 become 2 ampere. So source current is 2 ampere. So now I am able to find out the IK. So this 2 ampere will flow from this 20 volt source. So this 2 ampere will flow from source, and it is divided into two parts from this particular B point. First part is through 10 ohm, second part is through 4 and 6 ohm. So for at this point I will use the current divider rule to find out the current IK. So IK is equal to total current multiply by the resistance which is parallel to this branch. So in numerator there will be a 10 divided by total number of branches which are connected in parallel. So there is a 2 branch, one is 10, second one is the series combination of 4 and 6. So 10 plus 4 plus 6. So total current is 2 multiplied by 10 divided by 10 plus 4 plus 6. So it will become 2 into 10 become 20 and 10 plus 4 plus 6 become 20. So first result I will get is 1 ampere. IK is equal to 1 ampere. This is our first result. So now we will interchange the input and output. So I will shift 20 volt. Over here you can see that in branch AF there is a 20 volt and in branch CD there is a IK. So I will shift 20 volt to the branch CD and I will shift IK to the branch AF. So voltage source, I will remove the voltage source from AF and connect to the CD. So this is our first change, and I will shift IK to the branch AF. So let now current become IJ. Suppose that current is IJ. So IJ should be equal to IK. So we have to find out the current IJ due to source of 20 volt. Clear? Our aim is to find out the value of IJ due to source of 20 volt. So to find out the output current IJ, again we have to find out the source current. So source current is equal to V by R equivalent. Again voltage is 20. Now equivalent resistance will get changed. So over here you can see that this 5 ohm and 10 ohm are in parallel. So 5 parallel to 10. Now their equivalent comes with the series of these two resistance 4 plus 6. So R equivalent become 5 parallel 10 plus 4 plus 6. So 5 parallel 10 become 50 by 15 plus this 4 plus 6 become 10. So R equivalent become 200 by 15. R equivalent become 200 by 15. So I will replace R equivalent over here with 200 by 15. So Is is equal to V by R equivalent, voltage is 20, R equivalent is 200 by 15. So this denominator of denominator will shift to numerator. So 20 multiplied by 15 become 300 divided by 200. So that is equal to 3 by 2, which is equal to 1.5 ampere. So our source current is 1.5 ampere. So this 1.5 ampere will flow from this source. So at this particular point I will use the current divider rule to find out the current IJ. So IJ is equal to total source current IS multiply by the resistance which is parallel to this particular branch. So this branch is 5 ohm and its parallel resistance is 10 ohm. So in numerator there is a 10 divided by the number of branches which are connected to parallel to each other. So 5 plus 10. So Is is equal to 1.5 ampere multiplied by 10 divided by 5 plus 10. So 1.5 into 10 become 15 divided by 15, which is equal to 1 ampere. So this is our second result. So let's see that in equation 1, in result 1 we will get 1 ampere as our answer, and in result number 2 we will get the 1 ampere as our answer. So I can say that IJ is equal to IK, which is same. So we can say that for this particular network reciprocity theorem is verified. Reciprocity theorem is verified. So this is the all about the reciprocity theorem. We have already learned the statement, its application, its drawback, its proof. and the two numerical based on the reciprocity theorem. So, with this we will conclude our session. Thank you very much. If you have any doubt, any question, you can give your doubt and question in comment section, and if you like my lecture, then you can like it, share with your friend, and if you have not subscribed my YouTube channel, then please subscribe my YouTube channel Himanshu Joshi. Thank you very much.